Hello, today we're going to do authentication in Ruby on Rails 6. So this will let you log in users, sign them up, protect routes, and things like that. I have a blog post on this on my website. It's Josh Lee, so it's joshlee.com, so you can check that out. And I'll be referring to this as we go through the page, as we go through this process, as it has all the code that we're going to need. So let's go ahead and we're going to open up a Rails 6 project that I already have. Let's see here. Open this up. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a users model. I don't have a users in this yet, users model in this yet, so we're going to create users. So what we're going to do is we're going to go here, and I'm already in my folder here in easy.org is the app it's called. So we're going to go ahead and go to Rails G for generation. Generate M-I-G-R, migration, M-I-G-R, is that right? M-I-G-R-H, migration, and then we're going to say create users like this. So let's create this generation, this migration. Great, so we created this. We can find this in our DB migrate. This is it right here. So we're creating a table called users, and we're going to have it with the timestamp stamped here. And you notice, since I named my migration create users, it created this table for us already. So it's pretty easy. So we're going to go ahead and say t string, and we're going to say username, and then we're also going to say t string. We're going to say password. It's not going to be password. It's going to be password digest, just like that. Password digest. So let's go ahead and run this migration. So Rails DB migrate. Great. So now we have a users model. So let's go ahead and make we have a users table. Let's make our users model. So we're going to go app here. We're going to go to model, and we're going to go to new file here. And we're going to say user.rb, and this is just going to be our user model. So we have class user. It inherits from application record. All right, and now we have users in our app. So let's just go to the Rails console and just check and see if we have our users. So we're going to say users.all, and so we have this set up, users. So let's say user.new, or we're going to say user name. We're just going to say Josh, and we're going to say password. It's going to be password. Let's try that. An unknown attribute password. Oh yeah, that's why we need to set up our gem. So we're going to go to our gem file here, and we're going to use a gem called bcrypt, and it's already here in your gem file right here. And this is going to give us some extra functions and let us save our password as a hash inside the database, so it's not just plain text. So we're just going to uncomment that out here, and then we're going to go to our terminal. We're going to exit this, and we're just going to say bundle install to get that gem set up in our project. And now we're going to go to our users model, and we're going to say has secure password, just like that. So now we can go to our Rails console, and now we're going to have that the attribute password. So if we say u equals user.new, and we'll say username, and we'll say Josh, and then we'll say password. We'll say password. All right, so we're just going to user save. And now we have that user saved in our database. So we use password even though we have password digest. Let's see here. Even though we have password digest here, since we use that has secure password from our gem, we can just use password on our model. Okay, great. So now we have users. We can create users. We probably need to create a user form for that. So we're going to go to our, let's see here, views, and we're going to go to new folder, and we're going to create a new folder for users, and then we're going to create a new file called new.html.rb, and this is going to be the form for our user. Okay, so let's go ahead and say sign up, right? So we want to sign up on this page. And I'm going to go ahead and copy this form on this website here. It's joshlee.com. This is my form for my user. So let's go ahead and go right here. And this is just our form here. It's a form with model, user, local true, and then we're asking for the username. We didn't have email, so let's get rid of email. And then we have the password. And we can still use password here for our model because we have that gem. So as you can see, it's going to blow up because there's no model, there's no user instance variable on this page, so it's going to blow up. So what we need to do is in our user's controller, we need to set this instance variable in the new action. So we're going to go to controllers, we're going to create a new controller called users.controller RB, and we're going to say class users controller application controller. Okay, and then we said in our new action, new, we want to have a user, and we're just going to say user.new. Now we've written a lot of code without checking what's going on, so let's go ahead and open up our server, and let's go ahead and go to that user's new site, user's new page. So if we go to localhost, so we go to users.new, you're going to see that we don't have the route to get to users new. Now, in most of the models that you use in Rails, you're going to have like the model here and the new, like articles new. But since this is specifically for users, we probably want something like login instead of users.new. So we're going to go ahead and create these routes for our users to make new users. And since we're there, we're going to go ahead and make our routes for logging in and logging out. So let's go ahead and go to our routes file. Let's see here, where are we at? Routes. Config, routes. And I'm going to go ahead and just copy these, and then we're going to go through these together. So authentication routes. Okay. All right. So we have sign up is going to go to our users controller new. We could say, user/new, but we don't want to do that. And since we have that users.new, we're going to go ahead and make sure we don't use that when we do our resources for users. Then we have login, which is our sessions. We're going to use our sessions controller, and it's very similar to your other controllers. You're going to have like new, create, destroy, things like that. So we have login going to sessions controller new, login, post login going to sessions controller create. Just like our other CRUD actions, delete goes to logout to sessions destroy. All right, so let's go ahead and open up that user form. Let's go here. No route matches get user because we have to do sign in. Is that what it is? Sign up. Let's look. Sign up. No route matches get sign up. Let's check here. Let's go ahead and reset our server. Maybe that's it. Let's try it again. No route gets no routes for sign up. Let's see what's going on here. Get sign up. There we go. Now we got our sign up. And now we need to make sure, where's our form at? Let's see here. Our form. So this is, even though it's sign up, it's under views, users new. And I'm wondering where our form is. Let's see here. Where is our form? There it is. Now it wants to appear. Okay. So now we can create a new user. Let's go ahead and say, let's go to our users controller and new. So we need to have our create action. We're still working on users. We haven't started on sessions yet. And for creating a user, I'm just going to go down to here to get this code. And we're going to talk through this code. All right, so what we're doing is we're setting a user variable. We're passing in the parameters, which is going to be the username and the password. And we do this. This is called strong parameters. So we do this to pass in the parameters, to whitelist the parameters of what we can set in our user. Then we go ahead and go to user.save. If the user saves, we go ahead and say user created. We don't have the flash messages set up, so I'm just going to delete this now, or I'll just leave this in. It's good practice to have this here. And then redirect to root path, and if it doesn't create a user, we're just going to render the login page. So if we create a user here, I'm just going to say username Josh Lee, password. And if this goes to our root path, then that means we've set it up correctly. And this goes to our root path. So great. So now we have user set up. If you already have user set up, now we can start with sessions. So we already have our sessions routes set up, if you remember. We have our sessions route set up here. So we need to do our controller now that we have our sessions, now that we have our routes. So we're going to go to app, controllers, and we're going to create a sessions controller. Sessions controller, the RB. And this is going to be very similar to how all of your other controllers work. Controller, okay. So to interact with the sessions controller and those routes, we need to have a sign up form or a sign in form, right? So if we look at our routes are log in as sessions new. So we probably need to put that in a sessions view folder. So let's go ahead and go to views. We're going to go to new folder and we're going to say sessions new.html.erb. And this is going to be a login, and we're going to use the same code from our form here for our user. Actually, no, we're not. We're going to use a special form. It's very similar, but it's different. We're going to use this form here, and I'll go over that in a second. Okay, so we have our form width, we have scope, and then we have session. That's different. URL, login path. We have our email we're getting our password, and then we're getting our login here, login button. So let's go ahead and go to this in our app. So this is login. Sign in? What is it? Login. There we go. All right, so now we can interact with our controllers. So with our sessions controller. So what are we going to do with our sessions controller? Let's go to our sessions controller, and we're going to do create. We're going to take this code that I already wrote, and I'll explain what it says, what it does. Okay, so we have our create. So it's going to create a session that's very similar to our other CRUD actions, but instead of saving something to the database, we're going to save it in it's like a cookie. So we have user.user find email, find by email, param session, email, down case. So here's what we're doing. We're taking our users table and we're finding by emails. And we're taking that password parameter that was sent in from, the email parameter that was sent in from this form, and we're finding the user that it works with this, that is correlated to that user, same email. And I just did down case, so everything is down case in my database. So yeah, okay. Let's see here. So if there's a user and authenticate, so this is the method we get with that bcrypt gem. So what we do is we say user authenticate, and then we put in the password we're trying to use. So this password is coming from this form here. And we get that by params sessions password. And then if that's good, so we have our user, it exists, and then we have the user's password is correct, what we do is this is how we log in right here. We say session user ID equals user ID. So we have our user here, and we have our ID here, and then we'll have a flash notice, log in successfully, and we'll redirect to user, or redirect to wherever, redirect to root path. Okay? Else, if it doesn't work, then we're just going to say there was something wrong with your login details, and then we're going to render this form again. And then to log out, what we're going to do is destroy the session, and all we have to do is go to session user ID equals nil, and then we're going to say you have logged out, redirect to root path. So to log in, all we'd have to do is go here, put in my information. Oops, oh no, I don't need email, I need username. Yeah, the username. Let's go ahead and change this to username. Username. All right. So now we are logged in. We don't have a message because we don't have the flash messages set up, but this is basically authentication. So if we want to have something like a protected route, so in our sessions controller, let's just say user controller, users controller, what we can do is say maybe we want like define edit. So we only want users to be able to edit their profile if they're logged in, right? So what we can do is say like if session.id equals nil, which that means they're not logged in. We can say, I'm just going to write pseudocode redirect to login page, else let them change the model. Okay. And we can also, we're going to be using this a lot. So what we can do is we can take this code and we're going to put this in our application controller. And I got a few methods here that we're going to use right here. And we're going to put these here and I'll explain what they do in one moment. What these are going to do is we can use these. This is in our application controller, and all of our controllers inherit from application controller. So that means they have all these methods. So we can use current user, logged in, require user. We can use all these methods in our controllers. So for example, users controller, we can say like the same code, if logged in. Same thing we did. If not logged in, redirect to log in page, else do cool stuff. Do cool stuff, right? Or we'll let them do whatever. And we also have these helper methods. We said current user, this right here, and logged in are helper methods. So that means we can use these in our view. So if we go to username or let's go to pages home, we can say hello world, and then we can say something like if logged in, and then we'll say current user dot username. And this current username, this one right here, I got from this function here, current user. What it does is it returns a current user, and it finds it it looks at that session ID that we have saved, and then finds it inside the table, if there is one. And we have this set up here, and this means that if we already have set this once and it's not equal to nil, then it returns the same value. So that means we don't have to keep finding this every time we go to a new page or using current user. Where is I at? It's at home. And all right, so let's see if this works. Go to home. Undefined method logged in. Well, that's not good. Let's check what happened. Logged in. Logged in. Go ahead and reset this. Reset our server. See if this works. Still no, huh? Let's see here what I'm doing wrong. If logged in. Helper method. Oh, let's save that. Now let's try. There we go. I didn't have it saved. So now we can access the current user stuff here. So now we have access to the current user in the session and the views here. And we have access to the current session and the views in our controllers too via these methods here. And this is how you can just block off routes if they need to be logged in or not. So that is authentication in Rails. So if you need to look at any of this code that I used for authentication, then go ahead and go to my website. It's joshlee.com, authentication in Rails on Ruby. Authentication and Ruby on Rails 6, log in and sign up. And I'll see you guys later.